as we've discussed, very solid live trading that's gone on this week. Couple wins, one loss. Yeah, no problem, guys. And consistency. Some really good discipline displayed in the market, so it's been fun. Let's go over our potential plays this morning. You can see here on Apple, okay, we've got this zone identified. You can see obvious downtrend here on Apple. So we are looking for a continuation move below the 200.55 level. You can see there's weakness, kind of a low or a high point, a lower high point indicating potential downtrend. So watching for a rejection of this 202.7 level, which is the pre-market high, or a break below the 200.55 level. If we do get strength above this, we could look for longs, but we'll kind of wait to see what happens there. If we then go to AMD, change this, let's go over to AMD. Kind of in between levels, right? We had this big gap, yesterday with the big sell-off. So really at this point, we're looking for break below the lows or a reclaim, kind of break above these pre-market highs. And then if we get up into this level on lowering volume, we could see rejection puts for a potential there. And then if we go over to SPY, we can see here on SPY, we are looking for continuation move below, or if we do get a break above these pre-market highs, we've got some key levels above. So as with every morning, guys, creating a bias based on, what you see in the market, I like to let the market give me a bias, right? Let the market convince me or tell me which way we're going to be going, and then we implement strategies off of that. If I had any lesson or any, advice this morning, we do kind of, these little snippets here and there with live trading. The big thing that I think everyone can do better at as far as implementing the strategies is focus on what the market's telling you, right? And then deploy the strategy. So as an example here, if we see yesterday on SPY, okay, let's say we see this kind of, price falling below the EMAs and you're thinking to yourself, okay, what am I seeing? What's going on right here? Maybe, right, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I want to enter puts because we're below the EMAs. Or maybe you're thinking you want to take calls off of, the opening print. Well, regardless of what's going on, we look at a few things, right? We always look at price action, we look at volume, and then we look at key levels, right? But as we're looking at price action and volume, if we see price kind of dropping down on low volume, especially relative to the morning, but the 9 EMA is still above the 21 EMA and, no real strategy is presenting itself, it's easy to get caught in a bias where if you zoom out and you were to look at, what we're seeing here, it's just market consolidation, it's market chop, right? And I think that's what a lot of times as traders we get caught in is we get so zoomed in and so focused on each candle that we aren't really seeing the big picture. And the big picture is going to help you identify direction. And then once we identify direction, that's where we're really looking to see, okay, what strategies can we deploy, right? As an example, if we see this first candle push up right here, the 90 may cross above the 21, at this moment, right, over these candles, who is in control, right? Go ahead and in the chat, who do you think is in control here based on candles, based on EMA levels, like who's in control for these first 4 or 5 candles? Jesus. Yeah, man, sometimes that's how it feels, right? Jesus, take the wheel. No, it's buyers, right? Buyers are in control here. Chad, I can always count on Chad to bring some. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Jesus gif in the chat yet. But no, obviously, right? We have buyers. Buyers are in control right here, pushing price up. So if we see that buyers have pushed up and right off the rip, right, this level is where price went to after the first 5 minutes. Well, until we either get a break below that level or until we get the 9 EMA flipping below the 21 EMA, we really should not be looking at or considering puts unless we were to play some type of rejection type of setup up here, right? But again, with what we see going on right now, this does not follow any type of strategy that we teach or play here at Uncommon. And so again, it's really easy to be zoomed in and say, oh man, like sellers are in control, they're kind of pushing price down. But again, if you look at the big picture and what we're seeing in the market, we never fell back below where the first candle opened and closed, and the EMA levels never got below. The 9 never flipped below the 21. And even this move that occurred, you know, as sellers kind of came in, it was on weak selling pressure. So as you look and we say, okay, if we see buyers are clearly identified here, then would you say that sellers are, you know, really moving the market and pushing down here? Well, I would argue no, because what we end up seeing is we hit this low point, right? And it pushes up. But what does that create, right? Let's just go back to simple trend. Okay, we have a low point right here in the market. Okay, this is where price dips down to and then pushes back up. What happens right here? Price dips down and then pushes back up, right? So what do we know if there is a low point and a higher low point? What does this mean? What is this showing us? What is this showing us right here, guys? What do you think? Yeah, it's an uptrend, right? This is, you know, lesson number 1 that we teach, right? It is an uptrend. So if we just do this, look how funny this is, right? So if we just create this uptrend and we say, cool, we're going to not look short until we get a break of the uptrend. Well, look what happens as soon as we break that uptrend, right? We get a huge cross of the 9 and 21. Volume starts increasing. Big sell candles come in and a massive drop occurs, right? So until we break that trend line, we really need to be looking and be careful not to, you know, go short. So point being, guys, is look at what the market's telling you. And then once we identify what's going on, then we look for good setups, right? Then we look for good trades, right? Then we look for our strategies. So just wanted to point that out, is that I think a lot of times we kind of ignore what's going on in the market because we're so focused on trying to implement the strategies, when the reality is we should probably be doing a little bit more looking at what market structure is looking like. All right, so with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here, and we're going to look at our first candle setups, okay? So if we're looking at AMD, I like the fact that there hasn't been a lot of market movement pre-market. If we look quickly at NVIDIA, it's kind of rejecting right at the top of that zone, but there has been a lot of market movement. So let's go to AMD. I'm going to load up both calls and puts here. AMD 113 calls and AMD 112 puts. As always, if this is your first time trading with us, please trade at your own risk. If you don't want to trade, you don't have to. We are simply here to show you how I trade live. So trade at your own risk. But let's go ahead and see what we can find here this morning on AMD first candle. See if we can get a play. Okay, a little dip coming down right now. Again, if we're looking at calls, these 113 calls, right around a buck, we see it trying to hold that 111.61 level. Also puts, again, these 112s, they're around 160 a contract. So we're keeping an eye on those. We'll see if we alert anything here, guys. We will see if we alert anything here. So far, I like the push up. The pullback. Want to see just how it interacts after it touched that 111.61 level. Keep an eye on the rest of the market as well. And so far, we are not getting any clear direction. A little bit of a bounce on SPY as well. Again, first candle, we are looking for a 50% win rate on what we're looking at. Honestly, I don't mind SPY here as well. It's trying to hold those EMA levels. I know we don't really trade SPY first candle all that often. If we are looking at SPY, kind of watch how it reacts these next minute or two. The 583 calls, guys, the 583 calls on SPY don't look terrible. Okay, don't look terrible. I'm going to keep an eye on everything, though. Again, AMD, not a lot of price movement back and forth yet. So I don't mind not taking a trade. I want more violent price action for first candle to alert something. So fine, not right now. Apple, big wick down there. Big wick down and hold. Could be looking for, not a first candle here on Apple, but a potential long on Apple, as we just saw a big sweep down. Buyers held that zone. So depending on how Apple closes here on this 5-minute candle, could be looking at Apple longs, guys. Could be looking at Apple longs. And we do see SPY pushing up here as well. So if we're looking at Apple, again, kind of anticipating not necessarily a first candle setup, but more so a bounce out of the zone. On Apple, the 202.5s, okay, the 202.5s look nice as far as Apple goes. Want to see how this candle closes, though. Kind of moving away from the first candle strategy and more so looking at the potential plays here at this point. On Apple, again, if we can hold this zone, maybe get back above those EMA levels. Just because, again, as we see on Apple, we see a beautiful push down below that 200.55 level, and could be, buyers preparing to move price up. We'll kind of wait and see here as this candle, how this candle closes. Something happening with Mara today. I don't know. But that is a big candle on Mara. Mara's kind of notorious for big, weird candles. If you look over the last few days, we've seen some volatility on Mara. Been pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever played first candle on Mara. I know some people do, and it's been good. So again, we're seeing Apple close here. We've got a couple minutes. I want to see how Apple closes. See if we can get either some type of reclaim of that zone, or if this is just sellers kicking in. No first candle alerted. Again, we had a nice one yesterday. This morning, nothing alerted yet. Also, guys, on NVIDIA, okay, so we get this beautiful rejection on NVIDIA of our zone. This is the same zone from yesterday. I know we didn't send it out as a potential play today, but the same zones from yesterday, we can see a nice rejection here. So for me, if this can get below those EMA levels, could be an opportunity for shorts on NVIDIA, okay? So right now, kind of keep an eye on Apple and NVIDIA. Apple now, closing back below, looks like. So again, that's where staying patient and waiting for candles to close is really important when we're looking at these things. But again, here on NVIDIA, watching as we just got a rejection out of that 133 zone. So could be looking for some put opportunity there. Apple, the calls are kind of invalidated now. It tried to hold, but sellers have taken control. So if we're looking at NVIDIA, again, it wasn't on the potential plays, but the zone is the same from yesterday, and that's what it's interacting with. I don't mind the 132 puts, guys, on NVIDIA. The 132 puts on NVIDIA. Let's see how this candle closes here. Okay, so we see the 9 just above the 21. Might be worth a high-risk entry, though. Let's see if it gives us a little pullback at all. Again, watching here on NVIDIA, we can see prices around that 185 realm. Let's see what we got. Again, just trying to see if we can get another kind of like retest or, a little pullback here, see if we can get another rejection. And the only reason I'm waiting to enter on this NVIDIA, guys, is as you can see it pushing up here, is because the 90 EMA was still above the 21, right? We're still showing structure. So if we get another rejection here, right, that's like multiple forms of confirmation. But until we get that, we want to be careful. Watching Apple as well, okay? So again, as we've talked about, I try to stay as unbiased as possible. If we can get Apple to give us a good candlestick confirmation here, whether that is an engulfing candle, a piercing line candle, something showing that, we are going to hold this level, that is where we can potentially look for Apple longs, right? And as you guys are watching NVIDIA, this is a perfect example. It's why we don't impulsively enter trades. Same with Apple, right? We get that break below, but we know with our continuation strategies, we're looking for a rally-based rally. So we needed to see if a base were to form. Well, right now, Apple is not forming a base. Right now, Apple is showing, a pretty strong kind of pickup here. And so that will immediately help us know, cool, we shouldn't be entering shorts at this point. Here we go on NVIDIA. Again, if we can see this candle close, another big wick up, right? Rejection. So again, within the candle, your bias can change, right? You can have a different outlook on what's going on based on what the market's telling you. But what I'm seeing right now, if we can get NVIDIA to, again, reject and close out of this zone, I think we've got an opportunity for puts, which, again, we're looking at those 132 puts. And on Apple, if we can get above these EMA levels, or if this candle can, in fact, close above, then, again, we could look for calls. Does that make sense, guys? I want to make sure that everything I'm explaining, I know I'm kind of going fast, but I hope this all makes sense as far as what's going on. Wow, what a rejection from NVIDIA on this candle so far. We've still got 3 minutes left, so we want to be patient. Again, Apple really, holding that level. And if we look at this, guys, that first sell candle could have been, buyers pushing price down to get people stopped out of longs. And now, them pushing up to get people, going or to push price up here. Beautiful kind of reclaiming this zone on Apple. And again, if we're looking at Apple for calls, I still like the 132 puts, guys, for NVIDIA. Wow, what a rejection. Apple, I like the 202.5 calls. Apple, I like the 202.5 calls. It's like I almost want to alert both. I want to alert AMD or Apple calls and NVIDIA puts at the same time, but I don't know if we're going to do that while live trading. But they both look pretty good. Again, let's see how this candle closes here on NVIDIA and on Apple. Yeah, beautiful rejection there on NVIDIA, guys. Beautiful, beautiful rejection. You can see Apple with a really nice reclaim there. Let's take a quick peek at SPY, what SPY's looking like, just to give us an idea of what the overall market's looking like. Some selling pressure back below, so that can help us identify maybe, what we want to be doing there. If we're looking to enter NVIDIA, guys, it'd be one of those, targeting the pre-market low there. Again, it's just a violent sell-off right now on NVIDIA. You can tell hard to take puts as it pushed up into that zone, but you can see it kind of gearing up for a potential good opportunity for puts, good R to R. I like trading with the overall market direction as well. So we're kind of keeping an eye on SPY. Looking at the overall volume here. Volume looks decent on NVIDIA. Again, probably going to be alerting some NVIDIA puts here, guys. Again, stop losses according to what you want to be doing. We'll kind of keep that in mind. All right, let's wait for this candle to close. We're going to have... I'll kind of tell you my stop loss if we do alert entry here. Again, looking at the 132 puts. High risk, though, because, again, we do see that the 9 is still above the 21, but we've got two big rejections out of zone. Right, let's see if we can get a good entry here. Again, we see this little push up now, so we're going to wait, see if we can get another rejection back down. But again, good sustained volume those first two candles. So that's what we want to see. See if we can get a good entry. Keep an eye on SPY as well. Again, looking here at those NVIDIA 132 puts. Still keep an eye on Apple, watching SPY as well. All right, guys, we're just seeing some weakness. I would like the 9 to flip below the 21, ideally on NVIDIA here. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and alert a buy here at 172. 172, a buy on these NVIDIA puts, okay? Alerting a buy. We're just seeing a lot of weakness, seeing lots of rejection. Again, good sustained volume. As far as the stop loss goes, again, kind of ultimate percent. We really don't want this thing to reclaim the 9 EMA. But again, we'll kind of wait and see. If we're looking for an ultimate percent stop loss of, let's say, 25%, that means stop loss should be around 130. Okay, 130 for a stop loss here. Kind of give it a little breathing room here. Again, we've just gotten a lot of rejection, so we kind of want to see what happens. If we take a small loss here, again in that 20-25% realm, that's no problem. I think our reasons for entry though are very valid. Again, big rejections out of a zone. We've got good sustained volume with price being pushed below those EMAs. Again, good R to R targeting that 131.05. So again, all we can do is give ourselves a chance and then follow our parameters, right? And if it works, great. If not, that's okay too, right? We're just playing odds at this point. You can see price pushing back down below the EMAs here, NVIDIA. Again, would like to see it just kind of continue to hold and push down below. Keeping an eye on SPY as well, the overall market. And we'll see what happens here. Again, alerted entry at 172. If you guys waited, you could have gotten a much better entry there. Here we go, starting to push down. Starting to push down, guys. Come on now. There we go, getting some movement. Let's go. Let's go. Look at that push down. Here we go. Come on now. Let's go. It was a good push. All right, guys. I'm going to lock some in here at 20%. Wow, what a drop. Let's go. Come on now. Who caught that with me? Let's go. What a trade. What a trade. Let's go. This guy. That's right, baby. Again, I locked some in at 20%. We're gonna leave these runners for kind of break even. But again, we locked in at 20%. That's a beautiful move. I still think we've got room though. I still think we've got room. If we can get SPY to reject these EMA levels here, we should get a nice little move down. But so far, beautiful 20% trade. Got in at 1.59. Wow, that's a perfect entry. Nice work. Again, I'm still hanging on to these runners. Still hanging on these runners. Let's see if we can hold below the EMAs. Everyone should have caught that. You had so many opportunities to get into that trade. Looks like you all got it. Let's go. Now we are on fire live trading right now, guys. We are killing it. Again, that extra little bit of patience as we waited for that second candle to reject, right? As opposed to being super impulsive and entering on candle one. That helped us, right? That gave us the move that we wanted. Great move, guys. Great move. All right, new candle appearing again. Runners at this point, it's up to you. Yeah, 30% for some of you. It's huge, right? Again, ideally, we see this thing. We just saw a cross of the 9 and 21. So again, my runners at this point, if they get stopped out, no problemo. But if we can continue to reject, I'm looking for those runners to touch low of day. We'll kind of wait and see here. 26%. Congrats. It's awesome. Huge move. Huge move. All right, so we can see price hanging right around those EMA levels. Again, depending on your risk tolerance, what you want for your runners. I'm still hanging on to them. Might be exiting here shortly. We'll see. I don't really want them to go more than just want to see this 9 EMA, hold below, but we'll see. Great trade, guys. Let's go. Again, I know NVIDIA wasn't on the potential plays, but all my levels and zones were exactly the same as they were yesterday. So I was very confident trading it, if that makes sense. It wasn't me just randomly going to NVIDIA today and being like, oh, here we go. Let's go. It was zones and levels mapped out from yesterday. So trusting those levels, trusting those zones. Again, guys, still in these runners here, seeing if we can hold below. But everyone should be in profit. Everyone should have gotten a nice trade, nice move out of that. So well done, guys. Well done. Loved our reason for entry there, guys. Loved the whole concept of what we were doing. It was beautiful. Starting to get that push down again. Here we go. Come on, give us that next leg down. For those of us holding some runners, give us that next leg down. We'll see. Bad fill 1.8. Yeah, that's not a great fill, sir. That's okay. Or ma'am. I don't know if you're a boy or girl. I don't know what your name is. What's your name there? Just shows M. I don't know. Had 3 good trades with Mar today. Gonna go ahead and tap out on a good night. Yeah, well, don't trade more than 3 times. Absolutely. Lock it in. Again, guys, I alerted at 1.72. It pushed up all the way to like 1.5 something. I think we had like a 8 to 10% drawdown. So hopefully you guys got in at a good level. Even if you got in when I did, maybe it was around there. But even if you got in at 1.8, still should have gotten a nice trade there. Beautiful, beautiful setup though. Again, kind of at this point, it's, risk what you want. Again, with runners, I've already locked in the 20% move. So it's like if it drops, great. If it stops out, it's going to turn it to, a 17% win or whatever. No problem there. Again, this week, guys, we are killing it live trading. If you just simply buy when I say buy and sell when I say sell, you will be making money, right? We talk about this. We've talked about this for months now, right? We've discussed this, since Thanksgiving of last year when we've really been focusing on live trading 3 days a week. That's what we've been doing. How would I interpret this price action? It's pretty choppy for sure, right? A lot of back and forth, but at the moment, it's it provided us with the move. That's partially why I locked in profits at 20%, guys. Is gave us a good R to R. We had about a 10% drawdown. When we get up 20%, that's a 2-to-1, right? And so I'm going to lock that in all day. Plus, you see the amount of wicks that we're seeing, even though that shows sellers were rejecting that zone, it means that buyers are trying to push it up as well, right? So when you see any type of choppy nature or price action going back and forth, you're going to see that. But a beautiful trade nonetheless. After a massive day like yesterday, do you expect today to be choppy? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And again, I don't try to ever go into a day thinking that. The only days I actually think that it's going to be choppy or believe it's going to be choppy is if there's like a big meeting happening later in the day, right? Then I know like, okay, people are probably going to be waiting for news that comes out on this, on this subject or whatever the case is. But if it's just a normal day, I don't care if it's been a huge day the day before, I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just going to let the market tell me what's going on. All right. Looks like price is again hovering right at those EMAs. Probably going to stop out of my runners here for like a 4% loss or so. Let's see how this closes. All right. I'm going to get out of my runners here. No need to hang on to those. Again, we locked in at 20, sold runners at about a 4% loss. So we're looking basically 18, 19% win there. Great trade though. Great trade. Let's go ahead and review this. Let me go ahead and share my screen here and let me review this with you guys so we can talk about it a little bit. So let's see. As we see, okay, on our screen share. And before I start, again, everyone who's on this call, you guys know I could say buy right now. And even if you are just finger on the mouse, ready to buy, and you buy, there's gonna be a delay. And so if you're, saying, hey, I got filled at 1.78 and I filled at 1.72, well, that's what's going to happen. Live trading. There's inherently going to be a delay. Even if you were in the room with me at my house, there would still be a delay for me telling you when I got in and when I got out, right? And that's why we always talk about this. I don't want you to just solely rely on live trading because it's never going to be, and I hate, honestly, groups that like promote it. It's like, oh yeah, this, when at the end of the day, it's like, well, no, there is a little delay, or like there is, some things that maybe they're doing that they tell you, later, or they aren't giving you a full understanding of what's going on. So anyway, again, if you buy and sell when I buy and sell, you'll make money. It might be different amounts, might not be as this, if I get in a 20% win, you might have a 15 or 18. But a lot of times from the looks of it, you guys actually get better fills than I do, and you hold on even more so. So I think that you guys are killing it. You guys are doing awesome. But in regards to this particular setup, okay, we see this zone that's been, mapped out pre-market, okay? We see a high point right here, a lower high point right here, and then we saw multiple rejections. Okay, so when we see these multiple rejections, the big reason I decided to enter here, guys, and give this a go for this kind of quick little scalp move that we took is volume. Look at these 2 candles of volume, right? So we see 2 very good sustained candles of volume along with 2 big rejections. So if I see that, And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we just rejected a zone. We're below the 90 EMA on both. We've got good sustained volume. That is multiple reasons for me to believe that we're going to drop at least a little bit, right? So then by choosing to enter, again, I'm also not going to say and just say, yeah, well, it's going to go down to here because I want it to go down to there. It's like, no, we saw from our entry about a 10% drawdown, right? And again, I think our entry was somewhere right in this realm. And so all I was looking for was 2 times that. And we ended up getting that, right? 2 times that, right? We had a 10% drawdown. We had a 20%, profit. So as soon as we hit 20%, I lock it in. That secures my R to R. And even though it was a quick scalp type setup, I would argue is very predictable. Holding below the EMAs, good sustained volume, rejection out of a zone. Now, could we have entered up here as it was rejecting? Of course. Could we have, snagged a better entry? Of course. And I've told you guys from the get-go is that I have never been one to claim that I'm just like the perfect trader, right? But what I am very good at and what you guys see and have seen since we have profited every single week since, isn't that crazy? We have literally profited every single week that we have traded since Thanksgiving of last year, is that I am super good at, Chastity just nailed it, managing risk and managing the trade. I'm very good at it, right? Because I know that regardless of every time I'm going to miss some big move, the next time it's going to do this and reverse against me, right? And so I have found for me what works from a scalping type of, perspective where I can really mitigate risk. I can have good R to R and have high win rates, which ultimately allows me to make good money in the market. So with all that being said, is there any questions about today's trade, what we were looking at, why we did or didn't take a setup? For the first time in a while, we finished pretty early, which is awesome. I love that. So let's give you guys a chance. If you have questions, I'd love to answer. What questions do you guys have for me? What questions do you have? Kind of a open Q&A here. I'd love to help answer any questions you guys have. Looks like a few of you are typing. Waiting for these to come through. How much money have you personally made trading this year? That's a great question. And what my plan is at the end of the year, because I never have really done that. I've never really shown my yearly gains. But at the end of this year, there's a good chance I do. So I will tell you and everyone else most likely at the end of this year. And I'll be honest with you guys. Me, I'm not going to try to say, oh, this, that. It's like, we are literally, the reason I don't just publicly show what I make trading, there's a few reasons why. Number one, I don't want people up with my business, okay? I already have people already up in my business about everything. And so I don't want people up in my business, right? Especially when people know you have certain amounts of money. If you put a dollar amount attached to it, people get weird, right? Number two is it's kind of one of those situations, right, where I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't, right? Meaning, let's say I come out at the end of this year, I'm like, hey guys, I made $5 million trading. Well, then inevitably someone is going to be like, well, I know a guy who made 6 million trading, right? Or I know a guy who made 10 million trading. Okay. It's like, okay. Or if I say, yeah, I made 5 million trading, and people are like, well, he should make that because he's a good trader. You know what I mean? It's just like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. And I'll be honest with you. I'll share little snippets of months here, growing this account, doing this. At the end of the day, I like the mystery. I want you guys to kind of just sit there and wonder, right? Because I think that validates a lot, right? You think about the mystique of, and I'm not comparing myself to these people. Let me just be clear here. But you think of Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods back in the day, when there was no social media, when there was no, you knew everything that was going on, there literally was a mystique around them, right? Almost like this aura of dude, who knows what's going on? You know what I mean? It's and I really want to, kind of retain that. Do you make more money trading than from? I don't have other jobs. The only jobs I have is trading and teaching. So yeah, that's the reality. So anyway, people can not like the fact that I don't, share my profits, whatever. People can like it, but that's the truth. Is I don't want people in my business. I love the fact that people don't know how much I make. Obviously, if you want to check the validity of what I do, hop into the live trading. Like I say, we have not had a We have not had a losing week since Thanksgiving of 2024. So again, I think the results speak for themselves. Anyway, good question, McLizzy. I love it. That's a good question. Let's see. Did you talk about NVIDIA levels at the beginning of live trading? No. And what I mentioned was that NVIDIA was actually a potential play from yesterday. Okay. But the levels were still there. And so as I was scanning through, it started to look like a good setup. But yeah, that's the truth, is that I told you guys, hey, if you have these levels mapped out, we're going to use these. It's from yesterday. Do you trade with a live or funded account? So I trade with a personal account at, Thinkorswim, just with cash. And then I also am trying and using this options prop firm that I've kind of mentioned to you guys, which would be really cool if it works. Like I say, I'm just about past. I didn't trade it today. I traded my personal account today. But ideally, if we can get, this options trading prop firm where they're good at sending payouts, the rules aren't too crazy, I would love to refer you guys, hopefully get discount codes to send, because that's awesome, right? Trading with other people's money, keeping a good split. But I haven't received any payouts or anything yet, and I haven't, passed the funded account, so I'm not going to promote it until then. And I appreciate you guys' support in my, my sharing what's going on from trading. Would you rate this as an A+ setup for yourself? I did not think it was clean enough for me, so I didn't enter because of my rules. Joseph, that's the beautiful thing, my man, is that just because I'm taking a trade, you don't have to. And if you didn't like it, that's great. As far as like the technical goes, no. Obviously it's pumping to the upside. So, it wasn't a good, clean, just drop rejection to the downside. But like I said, for me, it gave me 3 really good reasons to enter. And if I can have around that, right, 3 to 4 really good reasons to enter, I'm going to do it. Because we had 2 big rejections out of a zone. Both were below the 9 EMA, and we had sustained volume, right? If the 9 had flipped below the 21, I probably would have held for this, right? Because it would have showed that. So there was some conflicting information, and that's where I know just personally, if it's something where it's like, okay, it looks good, I think it's going to do this, but I don't know how much, then yeah, I'm gonna lock in profits a little quicker, okay? Multi-million-dollar company asks if it's under $1 million. When will the next mastermind be announced? We've already announced it. It's July 28th, okay? If you look at the announcements channel, Nathan, July 28th is when it's going to be, okay? Results is better than bragging about money. Yep, totally agree. I never know where to enter if I should on a decent up or down trend. Like first 3 candles on Mara, any advice on big trends that don't offer an RBR setup? So if you're watching for a specific RBR, I think that, well, a few things, okay? Whenever you're looking for any setups that we like teach at Uncommon, Bounce, Reject, RBR, if you're looking so specifically for like, a rally, 2 base candles, and then another rally, you're going to be looking at the screens all day long, right? And you're never going to find it. You will, but it might happen at 2 in the afternoon or 11, or, you might be looking at 5 stocks and it happens once. And what we mean by that, and we talk about this a lot in our mastermind, is that trading is an art form, okay? Trading is jazz music. Trading is very fluid, meaning it's not like a classical orchestra symphony where every note is accounted for. It's like you have this framework, you have the structure, and you are going to trade based on what the market's telling you. Because again, if we look at the rejections of these EMA levels, right, that's not necessarily a strategy that we teach. But understanding volume, rejection, and them hugging below the EMA levels, that's where I took puts. And yeah, let's see. Totally respect the profit amount is something you're not sharing. Don't, yeah. McLizzy, I asked how much he makes from trading, not selling courses. Yeah, no, and you guys know, I make great money from selling courses. I also make great money from trading. But at the end of the day, like I say, my trading profits, just like the money I make from, what I sell the course for, I'm not going to disclose because, again, it's no one's business. But if you want to check validity, because that's what I always tell people is like, look, if you're learning from someone, you got to make sure that they're good. And I agree, McLizzy, you got to make sure that your mentor is good. Again, come live trade with us for a week. And if you live trade with me and you don't think that what we're doing is good, then great. You can take that for what it's worth. But like I say, since November of last year, guys, think about that. That's pretty crazy. November of last year, we have not had a single losing week since I've alerted trades. That's pretty wild. Okay. Shout out to King yesterday. That alert on NVIDIA printed. King, yeah. No, King's awesome. King's the man. I took a win on Apple first candle. That's why I did not enter. Thanks for the feedback. Of course, Joseph Nye is the first candle king, guys. He's gotten very good at it. Fun to see so many people finding success with these strategies that we teach. Good dialogue this morning, guys. Good questions. Any other questions? Looks like maybe one or two more, and then we'll wrap it up. We usually stop at 8:05. It's 8:02. Can you explain the next potential setup for NVIDIA? What do you mean? Are you saying like what I'm interpreting now? Well, let's let the chat decide, okay? So if we're looking at NVIDIA, big push up, okay? Well, if you were going to take calls, you should have taken calls right at the bottom, right? I believe I'm still sharing my screen. Yeah, you probably should have taken calls right here, right? Kind of once we got invalidated, 90 MA was bouncing off the 21, big move up. So now if you were to look for any type of call, you'd be really chasing, right? And so the only things you should be looking for at this point would be a rejection of the 133.58 level. But why would we not want to look at that? Well, we have huge strength, right? Good sustained volume, strong candles. So you shouldn't be looking. If anything, you should be looking for maybe a rally-based rally. But at this point, if we get consolidation candles, it's not a good rally-based rally. Why? Why would it not be a good rally-based rally, even if right now, let's say we got some consolidation candles? Anyone know? This is super important. A lot of people get messed up here. Yeah, price is extended and the move has already happened. You missed it, right? You missed the move. It's already happened, right? So what I believe is as you're watching these, and what a lot of you will do is you'll see this and you'll see the consolidation happen. You'll try to play a rally-based rally. It's like, dude, you missed it. The whole point of the rally-based rally is you want to catch the beginning of the move. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. The whole point of the rally-based rally is an initial rally, and then pretty immediately, like hopefully the next few candles or, over the next 15 minutes, we're going to see some type of consolidation and pullback testing that move, okay? If you see a big move and then you see the consolidation, no, you've already missed it, right? The whole point is we want to catch the big rally after that initial rally. But if it just goes up like we're seeing here, there's no rally-based rally opportunity because we've already missed it, right? But let's say that we got on this candle, okay? As you guys are all watching, let's say this candle right here, this pushed up a little bit more, and then the next few candles that consolidated at the 9 EMA, perfect. That's a great rally-based rally entry. But if we just see four, moonshot candles to the upside, well, the move has already happened, right? And now if you were to enter at any point, you're asking a lot out of this stock to continue going, and it could. But again, the whole premise of that strategy, guys, is that we want the move to be caught at the beginning. Does that make sense? I want to clear that up because a lot of you will send in trades where you're like, rally-based rally, I thought it was perfect, but you're kind of missing the point. Is that no, you're basically entering after the move has happened, and that's just that consolidation. It might be the move fizzling out. It might be preparing for a downward move. Does that make sense, guys? Can we agree that moving forward, rally-based rally, if you miss a huge rally, like don't be looking for a rally-based rally, right? It's a rally, an initial rally, and then a base that forms, okay? All right, guys. Well, hey, 8:05, that's a wrap. Great trade this morning, 20% move on NVIDIA puts. Again, I'd call it from a technical side, B+, maybe A-. I had multiple reasons to enter. I think managing the trade, A+. Again, we locked in at 2-1 and got out, and it was pretty stress-free, honestly. Drawdown was minimal, and again, great lessons. And at the end of the day, guys, here's my advice. And this is something that, in regards to some of the questions today and just overall with trading, one of my greatest strengths and why I think that both my trading has been so good, for the last 4 or 5 years, and why the company Uncommon has grown so much is because I don't care. I really don't care, right? And what I mean by that is I don't care the way that I'm viewed. I don't care to be, recognized in any sort of way. I really don't care. The only things I care about is kind of the inner circle, the people that matter, which is, our community, your guys' success. I want to make sure that we are constantly innovating and providing value to you guys. And at the end of the day, whatever people think, like my favorite, I got to tell you this is so funny. I'm playing in this member guest golf tournament about a week ago, and it's at a country club that in Utah is kind of known for having some, what's the word? Just some people, the people that, are trying to big time, right? It's all about, what do you do for work? How much? Yeah, snooty. That's a great word. Kind of a snooty place. And someone asked me, they're like, yeah, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I day trade and I have a little Instagram, business. We teach people how to trade. It's like, oh, that's nice. Like, good for you, man. Just like so condescending and made it sound like, oh, your little operation almost like made me feel like, oh, you're running a little lemonade stand or whatever. And I just laughed because that's what I want. I want people to think that I'm just like, making a couple of shekels and like, I don't really know what this guy does. Like, I love that because again, I'm flying under the radar. No one's in my business. I'm not trying to be recognized or anything in that regard, right? And so it's just funny. I never will credit be like, well, did you know how much I've made trading, or do you know how much we make from the business? Like, no, dude, I'm just trying to golf, dude. I'm just trying to have fun, like trying to smoke a cigar and have a beverage. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So anyway, if you guys want to know why I am the way I am, that really is like how I am as a human, right? I just don't care. And at the end of the day, if people want to think things, assume things, that's totally fine. But that's not my jam, right? I kind of want to be known as just the guy that's like, I don't really know what he does. He's fishing, he's golfing. I know he kind of trades. He has his little business, I'm gonna stay like that forever. And those of you who know, that's ultimately, in my mind, that's freedom, right? Think about it. That is literally Outdoor Boys, right? If you guys have been following him, the guy who just announced that, he's no longer making YouTube videos because he got too big and he couldn't live a normal life anymore, right? Like that's real, right? That dude is making so much money and he's shutting down his YouTube channel because he wants to just be normal with him and his family, right? I just love it. I think it's so cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Hopefully you had fun this morning. If you have profits, throw in the profits channel. We're going to officially announce the new membership and the mastermind this weekend. If you guys want to shout us out on social media, we'll always be happy to repost. And as always, guys, thanks for being here. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I look forward to trading with you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk soon. Peace.